And so this is what it looks like after we do that. We make sure with the mower we blow everything into the plot. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having a spectacular day. It is Friday, September 20th here in South Georgia, and we're getting close to the time where we need to be thinking about planting some cool season cover crops. So I figured on today's video, we first give an update on our warm season cover crop here behind me that the chickens were grazing, kind of what we need to do to that to kick the can down the road a little bit, and then how we're preparing to plant some cool season cover crops, when you should plant cool season cover crops, and what we like to plant. So first, an update on this plot here where we planted a combination of sorghum Sudan grass and iron clay peas back in the middle of summer. So our girls have been grazing this pretty hard. We've been moving the chicken tractor every day. They're almost done with their first round of grazing on this plot. You can see that little patch over there that hasn't been grazed yet, and all the rest of this has. You can see some spots they wear out more than others, but this stuff does grow back fairly well even after the chicken tractor rolls over it and after the chickens stomp and graze it quite a bit. And the sorghum tends to rebound better than the peas, but we've got a decent amount of peas that have came back pretty well. Now, if we look over here at this ungrazed portion, this is what we want to see when we use this particular combination of sorghum Sudan grass and the peas. We want those peas to climb up through that sorghum Sudan grass like it has right here. It's a little tricky to get the planting density just right, so you don't plant the sorghum Sudan grass too thick so the peas just get smothered out, but it looks like we did a pretty good job with our planting this time. Now, you'll also notice that some of this sorghum Sudan grass is starting to go to seed, which is a problem considering the fact that we've not even done one full rotation of grazing on this plot yet, but it's not a problem we can't solve. So if your warm season cover crop goes to seed before you want it to, what can you do? Because we don't want this stuff reseeding in this plot here. We don't want little volunteers of sorghum Sudan grass everywhere. We're just doing this for soil health and to give our chickens something to eat. So one option is just to go ahead and terminate it. We could terminate it by mowing it and then tilling it, or we could terminate it by mowing it really close and putting a tarp on it. But I'm not ready to completely terminate this cover crop quite yet. I'd like to get 2 rounds of grazing out of this particular cover crop. So what I found you can do with this sorghum Sudan grass, you can't do it with every single warm season cover crop, but with this sorghum Sudan grass, you can kind of kick the can down the road a little bit. So we can mow it not super close, we can mow it kind of high and take care of those that have gone to seed already, and it will all eventually try to go to seed again, but it will delay that process a little longer. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to take my 0 turn and mow this on the highest setting. That way we take care of these seed heads that have already formed and hopefully keep the rest of it from going to seed quite as fast. And so this is what it looks like after we do that. We make sure with the mower we blow everything into the plot, not outside of the plot, because we want to use all that good green stuff there as a nice soil cover in these patches to help us with some further weed suppression. Now, some of this I mowed will grow back, some of it won't grow back at all. Won't ever be as thick as it once was, which means I may have to supplement the girls with some layer pellets here and there. But by the time they circle all the way back around, you'd be surprised at how much vegetation there will be there for them to consume. So mowing high like that is a great way to kind of extend the life of your warm season cover crop if you're not quite ready to terminate it. Like I said, it doesn't work with every single warm season cover crop. I've tried it with millet, and millet seems to go back to seed really fast. One reason I don't really grow millet anymore, but it works pretty well for this sorghum Sudan grass. I can get away with mowing this 2 or 3 times to kind of kick that can down the road. And so if I can squeeze another month out of that, that will be perfect. So that will be 2 full rounds of grazing, which I have found to be enough in my soil. Now, I don't have any veggie plans for this plot during the fall and winter months at the moment, and not planning on putting a cool season cover crop there because we really don't need to graze it again. I have found that as long as I graze each plot about once a year, 2 full rotations, that could be in the winter months or that could be in the summer months, but as long as I graze each plot once a year, which we're able to do with just 6 plots around here, that gives me a good amount of fertility and I don't have to supplement as much with fertilizers. It's not a ton of chicken manure that gets put down during those 2 cycles around the plot, but it's enough. So we won't be planting a cool season cover crop here. Once the chickens are done with their second round, we'll just keep it mowed close and eventually let the frost kill it. But we will be planting a cool season cover crop in this plot where our giant butternut squash have recently become decimated by some pests. Kind of figured this was going to happen eventually, and our late summer planting of cucumbers over there has kind of seen better days. So for us down here in South Georgia, the ideal time to plant cool season cover crops is in October. You gotta wait till those soils cool down enough. Things like clover won't germinate that great in warm soil. So we gotta wait till the soils cool down enough, but we gotta get them in the ground and germinated early enough so they can get established before we start getting some freezing temperatures. You mess around and plant a cool season cover crop too late, it just never ends up getting going real good and being nice and lush. So you kind of got to time it just right, and that's why October is the perfect time for us to plant them. Now if you're north of us, you should have planted some cool season cover crops yesterday. You got to think ahead and think, okay, I got to get these things germinated, I got to get them established before it gets cold. Many of them are cold tolerant and can take a light freeze with no issues, but they got to be established to be able to tolerate those freezes. And if you live way up north, you can still grow cool season cover crops. You just got to plan a little bit further ahead. So up there, the cool season cover crops will get winter killed, so it does get cold enough to actually kill them. But as long as you get them growing and get them nice and established, that winter kill is going to leave that vegetation on the soil surface. You still get a lot of benefits from having that cover crop there. Now there's lots of different cool season cover crops you can grow, way more than I'll mention on this video. You can also buy some pre-made mixes with different things in them. Those work pretty well. Personally, I like to make my own mix because I'm using mine primarily for grazing. I want things that the chickens will actually eat. So I use a mix of clover, winter peas, vetch, and then rapeseed. The chickens really like to eat that rapeseed, and so the mix I make, I go a little heavy on the rapeseed, heavier than any of the pre-made mixtures I have bought do. So that's why I make my own mix, but a lot of the pre-made mixes are really good. So if you're not growing any fall or winter veggies this year, put a cool season cover crop there instead. Don't let it get overgrown with cool season weeds. Or maybe you've got an extra plot you're not going to be using this fall or winter. Put a cover crop there, build that soil. That way you'll have it ready to go come spring. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you want to see what it looks like to grow a cover crop in a raised bed and how you terminate it, watch this video right here where we grew a cool season cover crop in one of our raised beds last year and show you how to cut it down and terminate it. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.